This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is a special Oscar nomination showcase episode of ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We are a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find back episodes at ovpodcast.com, find the blog at obsessiveviewer.com, and you can like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. And of course, at the top of this episode, I just have to make mention that this episode is sponsored by Horror Movie Yearbook from the Midwest Podcast Network. Horror Movie Yearbook is a spectacular horror movie podcast where they take a few movies from a specific year and analyze them based on quality, and also contextualizing them into the pop culture of the year and current events of the year that it was released. It's a really great podcast, a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun, like little interstitial games that they play in between each movie. So there's a ton of content there, and it's a Horror Movie Yearbook, which you can find on Twitter at HM Yearbook and on the internet at horrormovieyearbook.com. And also, if you're in Indianapolis and planning to attend Indiana Comic-Con the weekend of April 14th to the 16th, here in Indianapolis, I'm going to be hosting a panel on hosting a solo podcast. That panel is going to take place on Saturday, April 15th at 6:30 p.m. So if you're going to be in Indiana Comic-Con, come check that out. And I hope I don't stutter and fumble that much on the actual panel. So, Tiny, how are you doing?
I am terrific.
Great. We just recorded a soon to be published in the coming weeks episode with Tommy and Chad from By the Rights game.
Yep.
Yeah,
super fun.
So much fun. We played several rounds of their movie pitching party game on the podcast, and I'm really excited for people to check that out because that was a lot of fun, and that game is so much fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend you guys checking it out. It's available on Amazon and at bytherightsgame.com. All right, so Tiny, what are we doing today?
It's Oscar season.
It is, and we are super late to the party.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Oscars, the Oscars are coming out this weekend, or the Oscars are being presented this weekend. I think I might actually watch it this year.
Yeah,
the last couple years I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as we usually do on the podcast, what we're going to do is, this week on the podcast, we have a special episode for you. It's our 89th Academy Awards nominee showcase. That's a little bit of a misnomer. It's our third or fourth. Yeah,
sure.
Fourth. Our fourth time doing it. It's our fourth annual Academy Awards nominee showcase, where we have other podcasts submit clips of themselves discussing the nominees in a specific category. And we have some great podcasts joining us this year. I kind of ran out of time, so there's a little bit less podcasts than what we're used to in years past, but we have some really good ones, including Boob Tube Buddies, which we were both guests on to talk about Black Mirror's episode, the Waldo moment, a couple months back. Mm-hmm. Super fun podcast. We also got Kate's Take Reloaded, which is local podcast. Kate's Take is great. We also have The Nerds You're Looking For, great friends of ours. Great podcast as well. All of these are great podcasts. That's the kind of going trend here. We also have Intermission, also returning, and Poor Man's Process, also returning. And newcomers to the fold here is Apathetic Enthusiasm. So we have clips from all those shows. We're going to be playing them throughout the episode, and then we're going to talk about certain categories for ourselves. And that's let's go ahead and get started with that, Tiny.
Totally.
All right, let's start with best documentaries.
Okay.
Features.
Right.
And let's go ahead and I'll start off by reading off the nominees.
Okay.
Fire at Sea, I Am Not Your Negro, Life Animated, OJ Made in America, 13th. And Tiny, I know you've seen 13th. Have you seen any of the other ones?
I haven't seen any of the ones.
See, me neither. And I Am Not Your Negro is actually playing at Keystone Art, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Gotcha. That's going to be a recurring theme in this episode. I haven't seen it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
It's probably the least prepared I've ever been.
I'm just about there too. Yeah.
So, sorry, Oscars.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah.
What's interesting, Tiny, is OJ Made in America. It's the ESPN documentary.
Right.
There's some debate over it being, I don't know if there's how vocal it is, but I know that, it's like a 7-hour documentary.
Right.
Is it technically a feature, or would that be more of a TV miniseries?
Yeah, it's an odd placement, but I think it was intended to be, an 8-hour movie, basically.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, I started it because it's on Hulu. I started it after I watched American Crime Story, The People versus O.J. Simpson. I haven't. I didn't get that far in it because I didn't have time. I didn't really realize that it was that long.
Right.
But yeah, I really want to check it out because just the way that that Ryan Murphy and company presented it in American Crime Story made me really want to dive into it and learn more about that case.
Nice.
Yeah. So Tiny, why don't you talk a little bit about 13th?
Yeah, 13th kind of has an interesting thesis about the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, but it has the thesis that it kind of reinstituted a new form of slavery in the criminal justice system, the prison system. It's a very interesting thesis, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it's being talked about a lot for a reason. It's great, so I'd be fine if it won. Yeah,
I think judging from the buzz, it might either come down to that or "I'm Not Your Negro." I've heard really positive things about that. I wish I would have seen it, but
yeah.
Yeah, so that is the best documentary feature. And let's see. Next, I think we're going to play a clip from Apathetic Enthusiasm for Best Visual Effects. So here's Apathetic Enthusiasm with the Best Visual Effects category.
Hello, everybody. This is Travis.
Hey, and this is Brandon.
And we host Apathetic Enthusiasm, which is a bi-weekly podcast over on apatheticenthusiasm.com. We also host a couple other podcasts. You can find those over on the website. But we are here to discuss the category of visual effects. Brandon, do you want to list who our nominees are in this category?
And let me get my envelope. Oh, this hoop. You're not supposed to lick the envelope. Okay. Here we go. Deepwater Horizon, Doctor Strange, The Jungle Book, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Rogue One, A Star Wars Stories are your nominees for Best Visual Effects. What are your thoughts, Travis?
I gotta say, this is usually a category that is kind of rushed in the Oscar presentations on the show. But I happen to love visual effects. I'm really big into these kind of movies that are sci-fi or action films that use a lot of CGI and things like that. And this is a great group of films. The only one I'm not terribly familiar with as far as how much effects were used is Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the story, and I know that I think it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it's about the guy who flew the plane into the Hudson. Right?
That's Sully. I think
Sully
was that one.
That's right.
This is one where like an ocean oil rig thing that's like blows up or something. I'm guessing that they probably do that in a way that looks really realistic.
Right. And it starts sinking, and then there's a giant shark that eats Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and you propose right when Jaws pops out of the water, if I remember correctly. So anyway, honestly, with the other nominees that are in this category, I probably just have a hard time believing that Deepwater Horizon has a shot. Yeah. Just because there's so much fantastic and really imaginative stuff going on in the other categories. It's hard for a story that is a true story, or that's supposed to look like the portrayal of real events to hold up against some of the really outstanding effects in some of these other films.
That's right. I agree with that. But the weird thing is Doctor Strange, also based on a true story, that has some fantastic visuals. It's basically at times an MC Escher drawing, and I think that's fantastic.
Doctor Strange is so over the top, I think, with some of that, where they got cities folding on top of themselves, and just the visual design of that is amazing, and I could see that edging out in this category, but I almost wonder at times it's visual overload.
Yeah,
and it's almost too much, if I'm being honest. And so while I did love the film, I'm not sure. I think it's got a good shot at it. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think what distinguishes Doctor Strange is that set pieces are really, really excellently designed, right? But that's in between those major set pieces where they're in the mirror dimension, like then it's not really all that visually compelling, right?
Yeah, it's still a well shot movie, but
yeah,
it's not like a constant force of effects.
And I would say that too about Rogue One.
Sure. Yeah, I think Rogue One does a really good job of matching the visual style of the early Star Wars films, because of where it takes place in the chronology of the Star Wars universe. I think they did a really good job of matching the style. And there are some great effects in here, and obviously, as I think any time that there's a Star Wars movie out, it's gonna at least get a nomination of visual effects. But I don't know if it's better than any of these other films in that category. I mean, they do a great job, but I don't think they relied too heavily on it.
Right.
And then you had an issue too with some of the CGI in this movie too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, spoilers if you haven't seen it. I'm not a fan of the way Tarkin and Princess Leia look. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's still not past the uncanny valley. It doesn't look right still to me. A lot of people have said like, oh no, that looks. I didn't even know that was CGI. I don't know how, because like maybe because I know that Peter Cushing is dead.
That could be a factor.
Maybe that's it.
Just a bit. Yeah, I think I was with you. There were a few moments where I was almost tricked, but I think just my knowledge of the characters and things like that, I couldn't really. The believability wasn't quite there, but I know there are people I went and saw that film with that walked out and didn't realize that those were CGI characters. And so possibly if the Oscar voters felt that same way, maybe that could push Rogue One over the top. Or if they're like us, maybe they're like, it's good, but maybe it's a little too heavy-handed.
Yeah. I really think that it's going to be between one of these last two.
So we got Kubo and the Two Strings, and
right.
the Jungle Book, and we talk about that uncanny valley. A huge portion of the Jungle Book was computer generated. So many characters with all of the different animals and things like that were computer animated and looked very, very realistic.
Yeah,
I think they did a great job on almost all the characters. There were a couple times where I was kind of like with the King Louie and Baloo interaction and things like that. It's like, all right, like maybe a little bit, but for the most part, I thought that overall the Jungle Book is a very visually stunning movie, and they did a great job with that. And I think you feel the same way about Kubo, right? Kubert, and the Kubo and the Two Strings. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get that kind of claymation going on. Box trolls, etc. Like, it's impressive because of how much work goes into it, right? And that obviously a lot of work goes into CGI as well. But there was, although I didn't like Kubo necessarily, I thought it was kind of boring, and I did fall asleep in the theater during it. It was still very visually stunning. If I had to give it to one of the two, Jungle Book or Kubo, I would give it to Jungle Book, because Jungle Book was
aside from just the CGI, like the look of the film, that whole jungle aspect of it, I loved it, and I think Jungle Book will edge everything out.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Brandon. I think Jungle Book is a strong nominee here, and hopefully it'll win. Either way, Disney has 3 of the 5 nominees here, so they're sitting. The odds are in their favor, if you will. We will go ahead.
You know what? And I'm just going to say this about Jungle Book. The last thing I'll say about Jungle Book, it's going to win just because of the end credits. When like the CGI characters are in the book and the book is turning pages, that's such a cool ending credit scene to me. And so regardless, it's going to win for that.
All right, well, that's our thought on the visual effects category for Apathetic Enthusiasm. I'm Travis.
And I am Brandon.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody. Hey!
And we're back. Thank you, Apathetic Enthusiasm, for joining us on this podcast with that. And we're gonna talk about best original score, or best original song / best original score. So once again, I'll go ahead and do you want to read the things? Okay.
For score, the nominated films are Jackie, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Passengers. Interesting entry with Passengers, I think. Did you? I haven't seen it, but did you kind of notice the score in that movie?
It's funny. I really didn't. Okay. There are some parts of it that I guess I kind of picked up on, but it's funny because I don't think this was actually part of the score of the movie. It was just in the promotional material. But there's a song by I think it's called 1982. It's by a band called Superhuman or something. Okay. But it plays in the trailer for it, and like as shitty as that movie was, I really dug the trailer.
Okay.
And I actually have that song downloaded, and I have it on my playlist. But cool. The score of the movie didn't. I mean, I guess it picked up, or it stood out to me a little bit there, but I wouldn't think it would win. Gotcha. The La La Land score, there's some really there's some beautiful themes in it. Mm-hmm. Sure, the movie is a musical, and there are some really great musical numbers in it, but there are moments where they play with the main character's theme, and there's some sequences that, like, I have the full soundtrack, and I listen to it pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. And it really stands out to me. I kind of hope that gets the original score.
Nice.
Yeah. I also recently saw Lion, and the score didn't really stand out to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think La La Land's probably a shoe-in.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's going to sweep.
It's going to take a lot.
Yeah, which I'm kind of, when it comes to original song, I'm going to go ahead and read the nominees here.
Sure.
So the nominees for Best Original Song is Audition, The Fools Who Dream from La La Land, Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls, City of Stars from La La Land, The Empty Chair from Jim, the James Foley Story, and How Far I'll Go from Moana. And, okay, I have seen La La Land and Moana. I could see City of Stars or Audition really taking it, but I kind of hope that they don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, and this is whatever, but How Far I'll Go from Moana, I loved the music in Moana. Mm-hmm. And if Lin-Manuel Miranda wins it, that will be his EGOT.
EGOT, right. Yeah. Another cool thing about this category is I haven't seen any of these films, but I've heard all of these songs.
Have you really?
Which is funny because, I've been listening to NPR at work a lot.
Oh, nice.
And every year they play all the nominees for Best Original Song.
Nice.
They have someone on to talk about them. So I got to hear that on the radio today, which is really nice. So I got to hear all these songs.
Nice.
One of the standouts for me was actually The Empty Chair from Jim, the James Foley Story.
Oh, really?
Which is a documentary.
Oh, nice.
And it was sung by Sting. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated the simplicity of it because it's literally just Sting and a piano.
Oh, wow.
There's no overproduction or anything like that. Nice. And it's very soulful song, I guess. But then the songs from La La Land as well, Audition in particular, that really was just beautiful.
Oh yeah.
How Far I'll Go, ironically, from Moana, I thought was like kind of vanilla.
That's fair.
You know, it's the song where the main character talks about what they're going to do,
right,
and what they want to do, and it's kind of a staple of Disney movies.
It is, and honestly, it's not indicative of that movie for
really?
me.
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
fair.
it is kind of the thesis statement of the character, really.
Yeah.
But and this is also one of the kind of negatives that I would put for Moana, and I mean, maybe that's more indicative of the entire genre of Disney animated movies with musical numbers, but all those songs, like, there are really great songs, but all of them are way too brief.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
Gotcha.
it's just like How Far I'll Go is maybe a couple minutes long, and that's not even my favorite song on the album. The favorite song is You're Welcome with The Rock. It is perfect. It
Nice.
is. And from what I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but what I've heard is that Lin-Manuel Miranda, when he was writing the music, he had studied the way that The Rock speaks, to get his vocal register to see where he would what he would be able to do in terms of musical numbers.
Nice.
And it's like, just, that's fucking genius.
That's great.
Yeah.
I actually know that The Rock like enjoys singing.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like one of his hobbies. Like, cause I remember when he hosted SNL back when he was like still on, I think it was, he was like still primarily known for wrestling.
Wow.
And like there was a funny bit where he was like just trying to sing a song, and they kept making him like do wrestling stuff or something. I don't remember what it was, but like it stuck out to me as something really funny because he's actually like a really good singer. So
He's awesome.
he's a great guy.
He really is.
I want to be his friend.
Yeah. So you think you want Audition?
I'm guessing it'll be one of the La La Land movies songs.
Same here.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we actually have Best Makeup and Hairstyling from Poor Man's Process. So here is Poor Man's Process.
Hey there, it's your friends from Poor Man's Process, the Superliminal Films podcast, here to talk to you once again about the Makeup and Hairstyle Academy Award. I am Dan. I have really no ability to be talking about makeup and hair. That's not my specialty.
And I'm Jared. I'm just going to read off the names. For Star Trek Beyond, it's Joel Harlow and Richard Alonso. For Suicide Squad, it's Alessandro Bertolzi, Giorgio Gregorini, Christopher Nelson. That's a hard name to read. And then for A Man Called Ove, it's Ava Von Baer and Love Larson. Now I'm going to pass it over to Max and Paul, who are the actual qualified makeup artists.
Yeah, these guys know makeup and hair. Jared and I just sit here.
I'm Paul.
I'm Max.
All right, so what do you think this year, guys?
It is a fine year. Back to you.
Good vintage.
You're the actual worst. All right, what do you think specifically about the makeup and hairstyling category?
For which of the films?
Well, let's start with, I think, probably the one that got the most press, which would be Suicide Squad.
Poop.
Makeup-wise?
Yes.
Really?
Well,
Please do explain.
Killer Croc is so bad. It's so inexcusably bad by makeup artists that are so phenomenally talented that it makes my heart sad. He ended up with a big head and just crappy scaling. Like, he was just overdone on his face, not concerned with the body and making it look balanced as a look. Just some cool-ish looking facial pieces. The other stuff, like El Diablo and other things, were really good. Harley Quinn was a take on it that I could see where they were going.
Tattoos are difficult to do right.
I was just going to say, what about it? Because there's a lot of tattoos in that movie, and those actors don't actually have those tattoos.
El Diablo, yeah. A great example.
El Diablo, the Joker.
Yeah.
Harley even has some tattoos.
Yep.
Continuity on tattoos is very difficult.
Yes, it is.
You're also, I mean, and this is again speaking as somebody who doesn't really know, but you're putting that on a lot of times on skin that stretches.
Yeah.
And instead of like an appliance, which you can build to move with it, it has to stay like skin would stay.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on to Star Trek Beyond.
Lots of makeup.
Lots of makeup, all really complete looks from top to bottom. I'm really, really pleased with some of the, just the scale of the makeups.
Lots of appliances.
Yeah. And it's just, it looked great. Everybody looked really good.
I can't get over how much the lead made-up female, though, looks like Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest.
A lot of...
It's the very same, like, bald cap with some build-up on it is what it looks like.
I mean, it's Star Trek, right? You have to play on that expectation a little bit.
All right. And then we have, unless, Paul, do you want to add anything else about Star Trek?
Good clean lines on that main lady.
Good, clean lines. And that's tough, right?
Oh, yeah.
For those of us who are ignorant to this, that's tough.
If you make a mistake, it's really, really hard to fix.
All right. And now moving on to the what some would call the foreign film lob in the category over the last couple of years, especially because in this case it is the same artists from the previous year. We have A Man Called Ove. Ove?
Not
Old
quite.
age makeup.
All right. Well, what about old age makeup, Paul?
Very hard to do.
Harder than clean lines?
Yes, because it has to be realistic, because we know what old people look like.
Clean lines is difficult from a makeup perspective.
Not an alien.
Old age is difficult from the sculpture, the conception through the sculpture, through the paint, through everything.
Okay.
The reason it's difficult for you out there is because everybody has seen an old person hundreds and millions and billions and zillions of times.
So this one was a lot lighter than the one they did last year, because it's mainly only from the eyes up there's an appliance. The rest is just makeup, because he's already kind of old.
Yeah, the guy's in his late 50s and is playing into his 60s.
Yeah.
So really they only aged him up. But at that age, having seen my father recently go through that, at that age, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
In the eyes especially. So they got there. All right, so you've said your pieces. I'm going to go around and start with Jared. I'll end with myself. Who's winning this award? Jared, rapid fire.
Star Trek.
Max?
Also Star Trek.
Paul?
Star Trek.
I want to say Suicide Squad just because I think it's going to be an awards darling, but probably going to agree with you guys, Star Trek, just because it's a sci-fi movie, and sci-fi movies tend to win these
And
things
it's
a lot.
also Star Trek, which has a storied history through awards. Not just in this category, but through television and film.
Suicide Squad caught a lot of flack.
All right. Well, there you go.
All right. Thank you guys once again for being on the podcast here. Links to all of these podcasts, of course, can be found in the show notes of this episode, by the way. And, it's always great to hear from them because every year they just send me a message. It's like, hey, Oscars. And I'm like, sweet. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they have such, they're so knowledgeable with that, with those categories because they do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then next up, we're going to go to Best Editing with the Intermission podcast from MovieGuys.org. And here's Best Editing.
Hello, I'm Craig Lane. You might know me from such shows as the Intermission podcast.
And I'm Josh. You might know me from such shows as the Intermission podcast. And once I was in the background of a news report.
Ah, were you really?
I think so.
Remember that time the news report was in the background of our podcast?
No.
It was at the video game convention.
I wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, you were. Okay. So, anyway, this year's Academy Awards, we have the film editing category. And, Josh, I know that you are an avid film editing critic.
I am.
And so you know all about this year's category and this year's nominees, correct?
That is an accurate to some degree statement.
All right. So, the nominees this year, which I don't need to say them for you. You already know them, but we have Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water. I didn't even know you watched that one.
I didn't.
La La Land.
Didn't see that one either.
And Moonlight.
I've never even heard of that movie.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and let's talk about the elephant in the room here. La La Land.
Okay.
There's only one reason it's on this list.
Ryan Gosling.
Exactly. You knew it.
He's
but
dreamy.
Does that justify a film to get an award for film editing? I mean, biggest hunk, maybe. Best film editing? I don't know.
Well, everything I've heard about La La Land, I guess that's more about the plot and stuff like that. But I guess you could have a movie that's absolutely terrible plot, but if it's edited well, maybe it could get an award for it.
All right, so Moonlight, neither one of us have heard of that, so most likely that's going to be the one that wins the award.
There's a good chance.
Hell or High Water, what were your thoughts?
Well, I see the cover art. There's a gentleman wearing a cowboy hat, and he has a mustache. In the background, he's in the sky. I like that a lot. That's good editing. There are also two gentlemen carrying bags, and one is carrying a rifle, the other is carrying a pistol. Excellent editing.
And I know how you feel about mustaches.
I'm a fan.
All right, Hacksaw Ridge.
I actually did see that one.
Yeah, I knew you watched this one, and I heard it was really good. But I didn't hear anyone exclaim about how good the editing was.
I mean, there wasn't anything that really jumped out as excellent editing when I watched it.
You say nothing jumped out. Maybe that was because they edited it all out.
You have a point there.
All right, so the last one on our list, Arrival. Arrival, I have seen it thrice now.
Really?
I have. I own it on Blu-ray and 4K equivalent of Blu-ray, whatever that's called now.
I think that's 4K Blu-ray.
Oh, okay, 4K Blu-ray.
Do you have a 4K Blu-ray player?
I do not. But my wife got it for me thinking we have a 4K TV, so obviously we need the 4K version of Arrival, which I'm not upset with, but I need a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yeah, it only makes sense.
So anyway, I'm going to say Arrival is the one that I would like to win the category, not only because it's the one I've seen, but because it had really good editing.
It had excellent editing. Those editors, they really showed their editing chops on this one.
So we agree that we want Arrival to win the award, right?
Well, I think so.
Moonlight will probably win it because we never heard of it or seen it.
Well, I would predict that La La Land will win because that's all I've really heard about the past, well, since it's been in theaters, was La La Land this, La La Land that. I should probably watch it because it's apparently the best movie ever.
Damn you, sexy Ryan Gosling.
Damn you.
So how did these movies even get nominated for film editing? I tried to do a little research, and it's like a really loosely defined category.
Really?
Yeah.
So what are the criteria that a film has to meet to be nominated?
It has to be nominated by the Academy. Those were pretty much the criteria.
Oh. Huh. I feel like, so if to win an award for editing, I think the Academy should have to go through all the footage that was shot for the film and see all of that before they could determine that it was edited together well. You know?
I agree. So in the future, I think that we should start a petition and everyone should sign it, that in order for the Academy to nominate a movie, they have to watch all of the raw footage before they actually watch the movie. That way they've got a comparison. They know what the editor started with and what they ended with.
Exactly. I mean, what if they shot the entire film, it was like, this scene, well, we got it in one take. Let's move on to the next one. Next scene, we got this one in one take. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And they just
what if it
filmed a perfect movie.
Yeah, what if it wasn't the film editor that made the movie great? What if it was excellent producing and directing?
And acting.
And, well, I mean, it was Ryan Gosling. Was there any question there?
Touché.
All right, so this has been the film editing category. And be sure to check out the Intermission podcast at movieguys.org. Toodaloo.
Fare thee well.
You see how I did that? I stole your toodaloo.
All right. Thank you guys at Intermission. You guys are great, and we really appreciate having you guys on. And let's see. So next up, we're going to talk about Best Cinematography, Tiny.
Nice.
Are you ready for this? No,
yes, I am.
I'm not. Let's see. So Best Cinematography. We have Arrival, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Silence. And yeah, man, I've seen 3 of these movies. Mm-hmm. Arrival, La La Land, and Lion. I remember when Fecus was on, he talked about Silence, and had very, very high praise to heap upon it for cinematography. Mm-hmm. How many of these have you seen?
I've only seen Arrival.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the cinematography there? Because we had a discussion about this where Roger Deakins wasn't the DP on it, so it felt like not vanilla to me, but it felt like it could have been so much more.
It felt like it lacked a signature, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's the phrase I used. But yeah, it was certainly impressive, and I'm glad it got nominated. I think it deserves the nomination. And having only seen that one, I can't really defend it against the others. But it was totally adequate, and it was more than adequate. It was exceptional, and so I think it deserved the nomination. But I think there was potential there for more in the cinematography for that film.
Yeah, I'm really just excited or happy that the Academy is throwing so much love to hard sci-fi the last several years.
Yes.
So I'm just happy to see it there. But in terms of the ones that I've seen, I'm hopeful that Silence will get it. And not that I've seen Silence, but just the pedigree of it.
Yeah.
And judging from what limited clips I've seen of it, it looks like it would be outstanding to look at. But as far as La La Land and Lion are concerned, La La Land, again, it's probably going to sweep. I think that La La Land kind of has it. And in this category, it's deservedly so, because there are some really beautiful shots of kind of this romanticized old Hollywood style aesthetic that takes place in like the present day. So you'll see like just this really, really old fashioned Hollywood set design and everything, and then someone references a Prius. It's a lot of fun, but visually it's really striking. And some of the musical numbers, pretty much all the musical numbers, are really well done and beautifully composed. And again, has this aesthetic to it that's really wonderful. And as far as Lion, it's funny, and I'll talk more about it when we get to Best Picture. But the cinematography didn't really stand out to me that much. It seemed kind of not run of the mill, but kind of expected. Like nothing really. I mean, I guess there were some things that were really interesting, and seeing that. In the beginning part, where a lot of the beginning part takes place in like Calcutta.
Okay.
It's really kind of striking to see that culture and that setting on screen.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, it didn't really do much for me in terms of cinematography.
Okay.
And let's see. Next up, we have our friends at the Nerds You're Looking For podcast to talk about Best Animated Feature. And fortunately, I at least know that Pat saw all but one of these, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he says. So here is Pat and Tyler from the Nerds You're Looking For podcast talking about Best Animated Feature.
Hey guys, it's Pat and Tyler from the Nerds You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast. Discusses the culture through various segments. You can find past episodes on our website, thenerdspodcast.com, and we're honored to be back talking about the best animated feature for the Obsessive Viewers Oscar special episode. So Tyler, do you want to run down the nominees real quick?
Yeah, man. So there were 5 animated films nominated this year. So I'm just going to start right off the top with Kubo and the Two Strings. We also have Moana, My Life as a Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and last but not least, Zootopia.
So for me, there's one glaring snub.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's Finding Dory.
I was going to say, you want to say it on?
Do we want to say it on 3? Yeah. No, it's Finding Dory. Honestly, it was never going to win. Tyler and I both reviewed it a while back when it came out. I think June of last year.
Yep.
And neither one of us really liked it as much as the critics did, but it was like a 94, 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not a huge Finding Nemo fan, so that's why I didn't really get into Finding Dory. But it is a fine film. It's a fun film. But honestly, since they've been doing this, I think in 2001, there's only been one sequel to win, which is Toy Story 3, which I'm not going to remember the year of that.
Yeah.
So it was never going to win, but to not get nominated, I don't even think it got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it has anything to do with them not wanting to nominate Disney so much? I mean, we already have Moana and Zootopia. If you take out one of the others, it'd be like taking out a smaller studio movie and replacing it with another Disney Pixar film.
Yeah, the Academy does seem to have the tendency, especially in the animated feature, to nominate kind of under the radar, usually a foreign film.
Yeah.
which is The Life of Zucchini, and The Red Turtle, I think is technically a foreign film as well, even though there is no dialogue, which I don't know if you know that, Tyler. It is completely dialogueless. But I'll talk about that here in a second.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, they do tend to do that. It's usually one slot that they'll give to a foreign film. In this particular case, it's 2. But yeah, I don't know. I know Disney owns it, but I don't really consider Pixar to be a Disney film. Like Moana and Zootopia were Disney animation.
Yeah. And
then Finding Dory was Pixar. So I do understand that it's still a Disney property, but I consider those two different things.
Yeah, no, I definitely see where you're coming from with that thought process, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I think that they're trying to uphold some standard they set where there's snobby, film lovers, and we gotta nominate these movies that nobody has ever seen. So.
Yeah, for sure. So how many of these have you seen?
I have seen 3 of these.
Okay.
Of course, the 3 obvious ones, Kubo, Moana, and Zootopia.
What'd you think of Kubo? I know you just watched it the other day.
Yeah, I actually literally watched it last night.
Oh, really?
I didn't care for it too much.
Really?
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Brittany loved it. Like, she was crying at the end. She was very invested in it, my wife, Brittany. But I didn't connect. It didn't hit with me. I don't know why.
Wow, that's very disappointing because I loved it.
I will say, the animation is fantastic and amazing, and I really appreciate how much work goes into that. But for whatever reason, didn't strike a chord with me.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Zootopia is the favorite, right?
Yeah, I love Moana, and if you listen to our top 10 episode that we did on the Nerds You're Looking For that Matt from The Obsessive Viewer was a part of, I think him and I both had Moana on our top 10s, and you had it almost on there, right?
No. Okay. I don't hate it. It's a fine film. I'll own it when it comes out. My wife loved it. And I love the soundtrack. I've been addicted to it since you guys talked about it on that episode. I've been listening to a lot of it, and I really appreciate it more now because of listening to the soundtrack over and over again than I think I did when I saw it. But yeah, I didn't like it as much as you guys did.
Yeah. So, I liked it enough to put it on my top 10, but Zootopia was also on my top 10 and was at a higher slot. So I definitely would prefer to see that film win, even though I don't know that it will.
I think it's going to win.
You do?
Personally, I want it to win. And then if it didn't win, Kubo would be my close second. I think it's between the top 3, Moana, the top 3 that you named, Moana, Kubo, and Zootopia. As far as My Life as a Zucchini, can't find it anywhere. From what I understand, it doesn't come out. It's done its limited release, whatever they have to do to get nominated. And as far as a wider release, maybe digital only or whatever, it doesn't come out until the 24th, so that doesn't do us a whole lot of good because we're recording this, it's the 17th. So, in order for these episodes to get out, that doesn't do us a whole lot of good. So I couldn't find My Life as a Zucchini, but I did find The Red Turtle, which, like I said, is completely dialogueless. It's about a castaway who struggles to get off this island, and he's stopped from this red turtle, and it gets really fucking weird really quickly. So I don't want to spoil too much, but it happens fairly early in the movie. He finds the red turtle, he kills the red turtle, and the red turtle turns into a woman.
Huh, as they do.
Yes, naturally. And it gets weirder and weirder from that. And, I didn't care for it. It's a beautiful film. It's a Studio Ghibli. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
They're the ones that did it. So, it was beautiful. They kind of have their own style. And so, I appreciated that. It was kind of cool what they were trying to do with a dialogue-less film. But I felt like they almost went out of their way to make it so. There could have been times where the character spoke. And it was a little strange. It was very, very strange. So I'd be really shocked if it won. Now, I don't know if Life is Zucchini even has a shot because I haven't seen it. But from the screenshots, it looks kind of similar to Kubo, just the stop motion kind of claymation sort of style that they have. So that's pretty much all I know about that movie.
So, and you also think Zootopia will win?
Yeah.
Okay. we're kind of on the same page. I think Moana will get it, but I want Zootopia. So,
all right, cool, man. So thanks for having us on again, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt,
we are the nerds you're looking for. Take it easy, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. You can find them at thenerdspodcast.com. And next up for us, we're going to talk about, let's go adapted screenplay. And let's see, for adapted screenplay, do you want to?
Sure, yeah. Adapted screenplay, we have Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figures, Lion, and Moonlight. I think it's worth noting in this category, this is a big year for African American film.
Yeah.
And, there was controversy a couple years ago, and I don't feel like the Academy is like trying to make up for that. Like,
right.
These are genuinely like great nominees that all deserve these nominations. There's no favorites being played here or compensation or anything like that. Right. And
Hidden Figures. No, Hidden Figures was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine, but yeah, go ahead.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, and even Lion, it's not about a African American person,
right.
But it has a multicultural aspect to it. So, yeah, and Arrival has a completely different race,
right.
Or a completely different species. So,
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, and Fences and Moonlight are two that I really regret not being able to see.
Yeah,
especially Fences.
Love me some Denzel.
Me too.
Yeah.
But if I were to pick of the three that I've seen, Arrival, Hidden Figures, and Lion, I mean, I'd hand it to Arrival because I'm a fan of the genre and what they did. I mean, it's kind of a dense psychological kind of movie, and more, psychological kind of movie, rather than, flashy sci-fi or hard sci-fi or anything. So to see what they accomplished and the way that they were able to translate the story to the screen was really well done. I think I'd be happy if they won.
Yeah, when we reviewed it, I mentioned how I think it has the potential to reach a status as a tentpole sci-fi story.
Yeah.
Amongst Dune and some of those other Philip K. Dick novels and stuff like that. I think it has that potential, and I think a lot of that potential derives from the writing, just the story in general. So I would love it if Arrival won this.
Absolutely.
Ex Machina won this award, didn't it?
I think Ex Machina won visual effects. I don't remember if it won.
I thought it won writing for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know if it won writing. It would have won original.
Right. Okay, that's true. Original, but still, I think it won. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but like you said, the Academy has been a little bit more accepting of sci-fi over the past couple years. So, and
also sci-fi has been really good lately.
It has, yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah. So for original screenplay, we have Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, Manchester by the Sea, and 20th Century Women. Now, I haven't seen The Lobster or 20th Century Women. I remember when Fecus was on a while back, he said that he saw The Lobster and he wasn't a fan of it. If I remember correctly, he said that it was a little too Wes Anderson-y.
Okay.
Or it seemed like they were trying to imitate Wes Anderson, the filmmaker was.
Gotcha.
Tiny, I know that you've seen Hell or High Water. How do you feel about its chances for original screenplay?
A chance as far as its chances of winning, I think it's probably low on the totem pole. Unfortunately, it's a formula we've kind of seen before. It's updated a little bit. It's a western, but it's like a modern western. I would love it if it won because I really liked that movie a ton. But I feel like the strengths of the film were in other aspects of it.
Yeah,
not to shit on the writing or anything like that because it was totally solid, but I feel like the strength was in other aspects of the movie. Yeah.
Did you know the writer of that was Taylor Sheridan? Who he also wrote Sicario, which I know that you still haven't seen.
I haven't seen that. Yeah.
But he was. This is such a random thing. He was Deputy Chief David Hale in Sons of Anarchy, like seasons 1 and 2.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so random.
That guy?
Yeah, it's so weird to me that he's a very accomplished and revered screenwriter.
Yeah.
It's such a random thing to me.
That is random.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I mean, I really did like Hell or High Water, and I do agree with you that it does the strengths of that movie rest in other areas, particularly performances for me. And I love the writing of La La Land, but again, that also the strength of that is in the musical numbers and in its the writing was really strong with it. It does have some really interesting and strong statements about, you know, relationships and things like that. And I at least fell in love with the characters. But I mean, for me, it's Manchester by the Sea. I mean, holy shit, that movie.
Nice.
Like, yeah, like I think Amazon or someone, on Facebook, some page like posted like a picture of a scene from the movie. It was just a picture of two characters standing side by side, and it had, I think it was like saying like, oh, we're up for original screenplay, and it just had dialogue from that scene.
Wow.
And like that scene is such a gut punch and so just, it's just emotionally eviscerating that I was just like, I got choked up just reading the dialogue on that screen.
Damn.
It's such a powerful movie, and
wow.
The way that it deals with grief and the way that it takes its characters on such disparate journeys from each other while keeping them connected, and keeping them connected both by what they're kind of forced into and also from the general grieving process and everything. It's just a really powerful dichotomy that it strikes, and it's really well drawn, and really kind of comes off the page and onto the screen really well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just have to mention really quickly.
Yes.
I think it's a travesty that Green Room was not nominated for this.
Oh yeah.
I think it should have been nominated for multiple Oscars, but most importantly, screenplay.
Yeah.
Really bummed that it didn't get that nod. Didn't get any nominations.
Right. That's true.
But I think this one, most of all, it should have gotten.
Yeah. Someday I hope that, you know, horror thriller will have its day the way that sci-fi has.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's my movie of the year for those who don't remember or didn't hear that one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we're going to talk about Best Director.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and read these nominees here. Best Director. It doesn't have the directors. Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. And I didn't. You know, I'm surprised that Hacksaw Ridge is getting so much kind of love there.
Yeah.
Like the trailers looked fine. I didn't get around to seeing it, but you know, it's interesting. Isn't it
Mel Gibson?
It's Mel Gibson. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see it. I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a tough category for me just because I haven't seen enough.
Yeah, I've seen 3 of them. Hacksaw Ridge. It's funny. The trailers for it was like from Mel Gibson, director of Braveheart. That's what he's known for, guys.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, and I've heard that it's like really gruesome. So that's not a surprise, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll circle back and check that out sometime. But
me too. Yeah.
As far as directing, Moonlight, again, I haven't seen, but Arrival, La La Land, and Manchester by the Sea. I mean, I loved Manchester by the Sea. It's funny because Manchester by the Sea was my number 2. La La Land was my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, head to head with La La Land, I would pick Manchester by the Sea over each one.
Okay.
But I think putting La La Land at number 1 was more of a personal, like, it's a more positive kind of energetic movie, and Manchester by the Sea is just gut wrenching.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with La La Land, the directing, there's this really cool behind the scenes video that shows there's a scene at a bar, at a jazz bar, where they're filming, you know, them playing on stage, and you see the camera operator shooting it, and you see Damien Chazelle, like the way that it does it, it's like a sweeping across the stage back and forth between 2 things in the shot, and you see like everything's happening and everything, all the music's playing and everything, and you see Damien Chazelle just tapping the shoulder like each time he's supposed to move it and everything.
Wow.
It's so cool, and it's like the fluidity of it's really, really great. It's really cool. I think that the video that I saw was a side by side with it split screen to where you see the finished product and you see the behind the scenes there at the same time.
Cool.
It's really cool. But yeah, and I did like the directing and Arrival. I think that there were some really cool things that were done with the style and everything, and the way that it told the story was really well. So I could track the narrative well in it, and it's to its credit, because that is a kind of a tough cookie to crack there.
Right. I'm just so glad it got nominated for this.
Yeah, me too.
One of the major categories, the top 4 categories, if you will.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But I think La La Land will probably again sweep.
Yeah.
And let's see. So moving right along, we have Best Supporting Actress from Kate's Take Reloaded. And here is Kate's Take Reloaded talking about Best Supporting Actress.
Hello, Kate Chaplin here from the award-winning podcast Kate's Take. I love Obsessive Viewer, and I'm so happy to be invited back for this special. I was given the Best Supporting Actress category, and the nominations are Viola Davis, Fences; Naomi Harris, Moonlight; Nicole Kidman, Lion; Octavia Spencer, Hidden Figures; Michelle Williams, Manchester by the Sea. Now, I love Octavia Spencer in this category. I almost had her as my pick. The only thing that kind of held me back was that I needed her to be far more in the movie. I'm also one of those people that actually read the book by Hidden Figures as well. And interestingly enough, only the last 100 pages of the book are what is incorporated into the movie of Hidden Figures. Her character of Dorothy Vaughan is in the book far more, was very influential on Mary Jackson and Katherine Johnson, the other two NASA mathematicians in the movie. And I don't know if that will necessarily take it away or not, but I adore her. I think she is so lovely, and I do want to see her win everything. Who I did pick, who I do think is going to win this year, and we'll see if I'm right or not, I'm really not actually that good at this, is Viola Davis from Fences. I thought her performance was excellent. I think she is top-notch in everything that she does. And she's actually been nominated 3 times. She is actually the first African-American to do that. She's nominated this year for Supporting Actress in Fences. She was nominated in the Best Actress category for The Help in 2012 and Doubt in 2008. The other thing that's interesting about this particular category is that there is a record-breaking 3 African-American women nominated in this category, and that is exceptionally awesome and about damn time. Now, also, one thing to notice about Viola Davis is that if she wins this year, she is on her way to an EGOT, which is an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. And only 12 people have actually done that. Now, she has not won an Oscar yet. Maybe this month will be her wonderful chance. She did win an Emmy in 2015 for How to Get Away with Murder. And she's won 2 Tonys, actually. In 2010, she won for Fences. And in 2001, she won for Drama Desk. So if she wins an Oscar, the only thing that's going to be missing is a Grammy. Spoken word album, anyone? Now, I'm apparently terrible at making Oscar predictions. Last year, I only got 8 of the 24 categories correct. So for the Kate's Take show of predictions, I actually brought in a bingo cage randomizer, and we nicknamed it Bingo Nick Cage. Now, Bingo Nick Cage picked Michelle Williams to win this year in the Best Supporting category. Who knows? The Oscars do love her. They love to nominate her. You never know. We'll just see how wrong I am along with the rest of us. But if you're interested, check out Kate's Take. Actually go to galsguide.org. There I have all the links, including what bingo Nick Cage predicted, ballots, and a link to our YouTube show as well as our podcast show. So I hope you guys are having fun with your predictions, and I hope everybody is far more right than I am. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Kate's Take. And yeah, we're going to move right along and go to Best Supporting Actor with Boob Tube Buddies.
Hey, everybody. We are going to be talking about the 2017 Oscars Best Supporting Actor nominees. This is Mothman and Natty Light from the Boob Tube Buddies podcast. What do you actually like to be called?
You know what? Natty Light works for me. It represents my drinking taste.
Okay, fair enough. A big thanks to Tiny and Matt from The Obsessive Viewer for having us on. We're excited to dive into this. This has been a really good year for movies. I haven't even gotten around to seeing about half the movies out there with the Oscar noms. So what we wanted to do to start is I think let's break down each of these nominees and this kind of their body of work. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and make our picks, shall we?
Cool.
All right, let's start with Mahershala Ali. I think I said that right. He's 42 years old. Moonlight is the movie he is nominated for. I personally have known him as Remy Dannon in House of Cards. I personally known him. I don't know him. And also Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage series. And what strikes me about this movie is how different of a character he's playing. I definitely wouldn't say he's typecast or a one-trick pony, but he is kind of typically like suave and debonair kind of character, at least from what I've seen, and this is definitely not that, and kind of shows the range that he is capable of.
Yeah, and I know him most as Remy Danton, and that's sort of what I got from because I haven't seen Luke Cage, and Remy Danton definitely has what you were just saying. He's sort of quiet in a way. He's a quiet performer, sort of brooding almost, but in a very likable way, and a way that makes you want to know more about what he stands for and who he is as a character. And so I'm excited to see him showing up more and more on lists like this, or just in cast lists in general. Like, I'm very excited that he's sort of up and coming. So I'm excited to see more from him, and I'm glad he's here.
Absolutely. Our next nominee is Jeff Bridges, who is just a absolutely classic actor. So he's up there now. He's 67, but he is still continuing to put out fantastic movies. Hell or High Water is the current one. I think he got an Oscar only a few years ago. What, Crazy Heart?
Yeah, Crazy Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like was a time where like I remember in like 2010 he was in that, and then 2011 immediately after he was in True Grit, and I was like, man, Jeff Bridges is like coming back, man. Like, what's going on with Jeff Bridges? He's doing a lot. And then since True Grit, it hasn't been a ton of stuff. And this is not typecast at all, but when I look at Hell or High Water, I go, yeah, it makes sense that Jeff Bridges would be in that. But because he plays that type of tone so well, and I think he absolutely deserved what he won for Crazy Heart. I loved that movie, and I haven't seen it like since 2011, but I remember watching it like 2 or 3 times back when it came out, and just being totally into it and listening to the soundtrack and stuff. So I'm happy he's back up in the limelight.
Yeah, I am as well. It seems to me like if you kind of look at post True Grit, that he kind of just got into doing, some weird stuff. Like, he was obviously in the Tron things. He was in R.I.P.D., which was apparently terrible. He was in Seventh Son, which was, he's kind of in a lot of these big
about all this like
blockbusters. And I think now hopefully he goes back to just picking scripts he likes. I mean, I doubt he's hurting for money at this point. He's been in 90 films.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway, so our next nominee is Lucas Hedges, who is 20 years old. So, fuck you, right? You're not important.
Yeah, man, come on.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
You're not winning. Sorry.
Now, 26 years old, that's something I can get behind. That's Dev Patel.
Those 6 years make all the difference.
It does make all the difference. You've seen some life, you got some calluses in your hand from hard work and from pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
I'm not positive that Dev Patel has the calluses in his hands from pulling himself up from his bootstraps. But yeah, I love Dev Patel. I'm so excited again to have seen him in Lion. Like, another one that I loved, Slumdog Millionaire. Obviously, when that came out, I called that my description of Slumdog Millionaire when it came out was it was a perfect movie. Not that it was the best movie, but just like every element of it. When I walked away, I kept thinking about like, did I like the characters? Oh my God, like they were amazing. Was the setting cool? It was beautiful. The cinematography was amazing. The music was great. Like I was just like it hit every check mark for me.
Oh yeah.
And that was where I first saw him.
Have you seen Newsroom?
Newsroom, yep, which I was going to say. That was my next big thing that I remember him from, and being like, oh, maybe this kid is actually going to be like in more stuff.
Yeah.
And so he takes the lead in Lion and does an amazing job at it. And so yeah, I'm leaning towards Dev here on my nod, but we'll keep moving.
Yes, absolutely. And then our last one is Michael Shannon. He is 42 years old in Nocturnal Animals, which is the second Tom Ford film. Tom Ford is a famous fashion designer, one who most recently has made the headlines outside of his Oscar-nominated movie by refusing to do anything for the Trumps, like fashion-wise, because he still is very active in fashion.
Oh, wow, okay. I didn't know that.
But this is his second film. He did A Single Man, which was apparently good, but the description didn't speak to me, so I just never got around to it. But
sure.
Michael Shannon is just... It's amazing how many... I was looking at his stuff earlier. It's amazing how many movies he has been in at this point.
Yeah.
Because he's not like I don't know, like a show stealer. Like he's not even main character in a lot of them, right?
Yeah. No, but he's also one that, just like you said earlier, has like tremendous range.
Yeah.
So he can play just like the character actor in sort of like the two scenes of the movie who's like, the DA or whatever. Or he can be like very easily, he has a face for being evil, I think, in like a really good way, so he can play the bad guy or the villain in pretty much anything. And more recently, you've seen him taking the lead or supporting roles that are, more heroic a little bit. And so he's a name that when he's attached to something, I go, cool. So I'll be watching that, at minimum, just to see his performance.
Sure. And I feel similarly, like he's kind of like a Steve Buscemi. Like I don't go out of my way to see Steve Buscemi movies, unless the subject matter, appeals to me. But I love every time he is in a movie, right? And I think it's just because he hasn't starred in many, that is why I don't seek the movies out. Like he usually ends up being a B character. But that's why for Michael Shannon, I'm not going to say he's my pick, and we do have to wrap this up here. But I would not be upset if he won, just because he's put out so much content over the years. Like it's just recognition. Yep. Jeff Bridges has already obviously won some. Mahershala Ali has just recently really been like kind of ramping up his career. If I had to make a pick, I think it would be Dev, though.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Hey, look at that! We didn't even plan that.
We didn't. We didn't.
We did not. We just both independently picked Dev Patel. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, so at this point, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again for having us on the show. Check out our podcast, BoobTube Buddies, on iTunes. You can also go to our website, boobtubebuddies.com, to get all of our social medias and all that good stuff. Thanks again. Peace.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys. Again, links to all these shows can be in the show notes of the episode. So to kind of wind down, we have Best Actor and Best Actress. Yeah, I said that right.
Yeah.
And Tiny, do you want to give the Best Actress in a Leading Role nominees?
Sure. We have Isabel Huppert from Elle, Ruth Negga from Loving, Natalie Portman from Jackie, Emma Stone in La La Land, and Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins.
Yeah. I've seen La La Land.
Right.
I suck.
This
so Tiny, you have to carry this.
Okay. Well, this category it's kind of an oddball category this year because both Elle, Loving, and Jackie were pretty underperforming movies. Mm-hmm. Like I had never heard of Loving. I had never even heard of that one.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
yeah.
Loving. Loving is Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga. It's like the first.
That's right.
Yeah, like an interracial couple.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I remember that now. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so it features a handful of movies that weren't super wide releases and weren't super popular, with the exception of La La Land. And Meryl Streep no offense to Meryl Streep, but she gets nominated every year.
Right.
It's the Meryl Streep Award, basically. And so it's just kind of, it's hard to pick this category this year. I think even if you've seen the movies, I don't know, maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but,
yeah, I want Natalie Portman. Well, I mean, I don't have any frame of reference because I haven't seen Jackie. I really wish I would have.
Yeah.
But I think that type of that role in particular could possibly be like a really strong performance from her because
nice.
I mean, there's a lot to it.
I've never been a big fan of hers.
Really?
Natalie Portman. Yeah, never really cared for her that much.
Yeah, whenever I see her, I just like it's anytime she's on screen, I'm just like, are you an angel?
She is gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
And I've been in love with
Star Wars.
Oh God, damn it!
Are you an angel?
Okay.
Yeah. Emma Stone. I mean, I kind of hope that they recognize one of these other actresses. Not that I've seen them or anything, so I'm digging myself into a hole here. But Emma Stone, I think, did a fine job in La La Land. But again, that movie is kind of more about the music and the energy, I think, than actual performances.
Okay.
All right, moving right along, we have Best Actor in a Leading Role. So, this is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
We have Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea, Andrew Garfield in Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling in La La Land, Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington in Fences. And again, I've only seen La La Land and Manchester by the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling, I think, did all right. Again, echo everything I said about Emma Stone, but Casey Affleck, man, his performance. There are scenes in this movie that in Manchester by the Sea where it's gonna kind of stick with me.
Wow.
And it's all that's because of Casey Affleck's approach to the role, because he doesn't do many like big like outburst or big emotional things, but when he does, it's like insanely powerful. A lot of what he does throughout the movie is kind of the signature Casey Affleck thing, where he's kind of a little mumbly.
Yeah.
And kind of quiet and everything, but here it works for him because the character, it really calls for it. So yeah, I would hope that Casey Affleck gets it. Again, I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge or Captain Fantastic or Fences.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah,
love Casey. It's funny. I really love all the actors nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Like Denzel Washington's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah,
hands down. Andrew Garfield, super excited about everything he does. So yeah, this is a stacked category this year.
It is, and I really need to check out Captain Fantastic. I'm very curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think we're wrapping up.
Yep.
Best Picture. It's the big one here. This year they nominated 9 movies, and here they are: Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. So Tiny, how do you feel about the Best Picture nominees?
Also a stacked category, I guess I'd say. I mean, it's, it is anymore because there's up to 10 entries.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a given anymore. But yeah, I mean, I can't not bring up the whole huge year for African American films with Moonlight and Hidden Figures. So yeah, just, in Fences, big year in that category. That's good to see. Yeah, I don't have a favorite. Cause I've only seen 2 of them. Yeah, so I really, I just wish I would have seen more this year.
What of the Best Picture nominees that you haven't seen, what of them are you most looking forward to? And why is it La La Land?
It's La La Land because I'm gay for musicals and I'm gay for Ryan Gosling. No, I La La Land. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and it just. I think we watched it here once. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna see that movie. That's my number one for the year, and I don't know. It's almost like I avoided it for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to try to see it before Sunday night.
Nice.
So, but yeah, La La Land, and I'm really glad to see Hell or High Water nominated. I'm surprised. That kind of surprises me a little bit.
Every time I check the list for things like this episode and stuff, I'm so surprised to see Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't expect it.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really excited. I'm bummed I missed Moonlight too. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna have a chance to see that. I'm gonna try to see La La Land and Manchester by the Sea before Sunday. So.
Nice. Yeah.
Because Manchester by the Sea is on like Amazon Prime, and isn't it?
I don't think it's hit Amazon Prime yet. It might be on like Google Play and iTunes.
I thought I saw it online somewhere.
Yeah, you can rent it. It's available to rent.
That's what I meant. It was available for.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. I thought you meant Prime Video.
I didn't mean like free.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, you can rent it. Yeah. And, oh man, that movie.
Nice.
Oof.
I also heard I think they had I've been listening to NPR a lot at work. I don't know if somebody got me listening to it. They had the screenwriter on NPR.
Oh, nice.
And just hearing him talk about it, I was like, his passion really stuck out.
Nice.
So, yeah, I need to see that one.
Sweet. And let's see. As for me, I mean, it's so okay. So I'll talk a little bit about the two movies that I've seen most recently. Really, Hidden Figures and Lion. I brought up Hidden Figures on a potpourri recently that I'm not 100% sure has aired yet. So Hidden Figures, I'm going to talk about in a potpourri next week on the podcast. So. I mean, to kind of reiterate what I'm going to say on the podcast in the future, I think it's a fine movie. Like, and it tells a really important story, and it does tell it well. But I don't it feels like it doesn't fit with the Best Picture nominees.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of I don't know, but I don't know how to explain it. It seems like a weird entry for the Best Picture nominees.
Okay.
But as far as Lion, do you know anything about Lion?
Nothing.
Okay, so Lion is a movie about. I'll read the plot description because I'm not sure exactly how much would be spoilery.
Okay.
Because a good part of the movie is his childhood. So Lion, according to IMDb, the plot description of Lion, which did play at Heartland Film Festival. I missed it then too, but I just recently watched it in theaters. So Lion is here's the plot description. A 5-year-old Indian boy gets lost on the streets of Calcutta, thousands of kilometers from home. He survives many challenges before being adopted by a couple in Australia. 25 years later, he sets out to find his lost family. And it's a really powerful movie. It's based on a true story. It's really powerful, very well done. Dev Patel plays the main character. And he does a phenomenal job. I don't think it'll win. I wouldn't be unhappy if it surprised everyone.
Nice.
But my pick is it's either going to be La La Land or Manchester by the Sea, in my opinion. Because those are the two kind of standouts there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it'd be more than possible for. I'd say it's bordering on likely that La La Land will tie the record for most Oscars. I think it's 11 is the record.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it ties that or gets close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the Academy loves to celebrate itself. And
right.
There's such a strong, like, old Hollywood feel to La La Land that I could see it being no contest.
Like Birdman.
Yeah.
Which won a handful of Oscars.
Right.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that'll do it for this episode here.
Totes.
Once again, thank you to all the podcasts who joined in this year's Oscar nomination showcase episode. Yeah, it's kind of a brief episode this year, but that's fine. The Oscars are this Sunday, so let us know. We're going to have a discussion thread on the Facebook group. Please join the Facebook group. And let us know what you think of the Oscars and who you think's going to win, what you think about the results and everything, and join us there. It's at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. And having said all that, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. You have a little spiel that I have to read. I am at a loss here. Okay. If you like what you heard and you want to help support the podcast, the easiest way to do that would be to head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review. And also go over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for all the podcasts that were in this this episode because they took time out of their schedules to help us out here, and they are all awesome. The more ratings and reviews we get, the easier it will be for people to find the show in iTunes' search results. And if you want to show your support with your wallet, you can do that by clicking the donate button on obsessiveviewer.com for a one-time donation, or by clicking the donate link in the show notes of this episode. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, where you can choose from several different reward tiers, all of which are tiers that I updated recently. So check that out at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Any donations made will help pay the fees to keep the podcast running and is incredibly appreciated. And having said all that, Tiny, next week we're doing, it's either going to be Netflix picks that we have from last week, or it'll be Netflix picks, and then after that we have a special Buy the Rights episode featuring the creators of Buy the Rights, a movie pitching party game. Which can be found on Amazon, and I highly recommend it. All right, and having said all that, I think we're done.
Yep.
Yeah, so in that case, guys, I'm, again, almost signing off the way I do phone calls at work. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at obsessiveviewer.com, or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@obsessiveviewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at obsessiveviewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, and follow us on Twitter at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, obsessivebooknerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com, and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you. Be excellent to each other.